Article 40, rezoning of 1 Colonial Avenue. What is zoned currently, and is this a 2/3 majority vote? Why are we requesting the zoning change?
So I can answer that. John Gelsich, Principal Planner. The properties that are being taken up for this are currently zoned RA or Residence A. It is a 2/3 majority for the rezoning, and the town is not requiring or requesting this change. This is, as I said before, a citizens petition. So certain citizens that I believe live in that area are looking to rezone the properties to be more in line with the neighboring properties that are business. And so it would be a petition to rezone them from RA to business.
The next citizens petition for Article 52, Form of Government Study Committee. Could you please explain what it is you're requesting and why would we be interested in changing our current structure? Is there a cost associated with this? I believe, Muriel, you said you could speak.
Yeah, I'll take a soft swing at this because I'm not a signer on the petition and we don't have somebody here who is. So again, we're not requesting this. This is a citizen's petition. I don't have information on whether or not there would be a cost to it. That would be something that would be decided about how they, if it passed and it was enacted, how the study was undertaken. I imagine there could be some cost associated with it. I don't know any details, and I don't think anybody does. What was the first part of the question?
Just explain what it is that's being requested.
Yeah, I can, it's just a government study committee. I think it's modeled after one that we have had in the past that predates our charter. So we've had a charter form of government now for almost 20 years. So I do think that there is some conversation to be had, how that impacts what we have existing. For example, the typical experience we would have is that the charter would be up for renewal and study in a couple of years anyway. There's a process already in place. But it would be comparing, I think what the petitioners would like to do is compare our current form of government to a more city-like government. So it would make changes. I don't know how to answer what the changes would necessarily be specifically.
Okay, thank you. Article 39, MBTA Communities Act. John, could you provide a general background of the MBTA Communities Act and what it is that the state is requiring or asking of us? And why do we have to comply?
So I can do the general background and what the state is requiring because they're kind of one and the same. The state has passed a law to require all MBTA communities, and those are all communities that are either having a train station, bus rapid transit station, light rail station, your T stations, all that kind of stuff, and then communities that are adjacent to communities with those types of things. Those are all MBTA communities, and all of those communities are categorized in certain ways. We are an adjacent community, which means that we are required to rezone at least 50 acres of land for a capacity of 750 units and an average density across the district of 15 units per acre. That doesn't mean these have to be built, it just means that there has to be zoning in place to allow for them to happen. And so that's kind of the general overview and what's required of us. There's a whole bunch of other details that we won't go into now about how we make that work. But the ZAC, the Zoning Advisory Committee, and the Planning Board have worked together to try and come up with a proposal, which is now before town meeting, that meets those criteria that the state laid out and achieves what ZAC and Planning Board are trying to achieve through this zoning process. We have to comply because it's a state law. So the first penalty, if we didn't comply, is that we would not be able to get funding under certain grants, MassWorks being a major one. There's 13 others, I believe, that we wouldn't qualify for funding for. Also, the state has said, the Attorney General's office has said that they're prepared to sue any communities that don't comply under fair housing statutes. And as we've seen with Milton, they've already done that. So they've sued Milton. It's currently going through the court system right now. We don't have a resolution on that. And so those are the reasons why we'd have to comply, or if we didn't comply, what would happen.